Hey guys, when learning a language, the single biggest problem, the part where you're going to spend most of your time, is around this question. How the f am I going to memorize all these words? At the end of the day, if you want to learn another language, you have to memorize a lot of information, thousands and thousands of words and grammar points. And there are a lot of ways to do this. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, and some of them are soul destroying. To learn a language, you could, for example, go to a language school or a university, move to a new country, get all the words you need from textbooks. Unfortunately, all of these methods have huge flaws. Language schools and universities are typically very expensive. Only a fraction of people can move to a new country, and it's still not guaranteed that you'll be able to study enough to speak really well. Textbooks are really boring and often pretty far removed from actual casual conversation. And if you're going to spend thousands of hours studying, you need to know that this method is going to be fun, effective, and easy to do. The method I'm going to introduce is all of those things. It's a method that's popular with language learning communities on the internet, and it has many names, but I'm going to call it input. It's a very easy to understand process. You read or watch a movie, a book, TV series, you check the words you don't know in a dictionary, and you make a flashcard in Anki so that you don't forget. It's so simple. If you memorize a few words every day, eventually there'll be no words that you don't understand. And that's all. So how do we do it? Choosing a thing. Choosing what you're going to study with is super important. There are three very important rules to follow. Number one, it has to be interesting. Number two, it has to be intended for real native speakers. And number three, it has to be +1. So let's look at these a little more closely. If the book or movie or whatever isn't interesting, the hours you spend with it won't be either. And the best study materials are the ones where you want to keep studying just to know what happens next. Spending time searching for stuff that you like is also a very important step in study. As much as possible, we need to avoid materials intended for language learners because they're often wrong. They often contain hints in other languages, and more often than not, they're very, very boring. +1 is an important rule that helps you choose materials that are the right level for you. It means, on average, each sentence should only contain one word or grammar point you don't know. For example, in this sentence, if this is new, but the rest are okay, then this is +1. If this and this are new, it's +3. And if your movie or book is +3, there are too many words to look up and the fun, study balance will be off. If it's +0, you'll be reviewing the words you already know, but you won't be getting any new words. So choose materials that are interesting, meant for native speakers, and a +1. So now we have our study material. What do we do next? Well, we read, and when we find a word we don't know, we check it in a dictionary, and great, I understand this word now. But guess what? Tomorrow it will have disappeared. So we need to put it in Anki so that we can remember it forever. So first we take the sentence from the original, we put it on the front of our Anki card with our new word in a different color or in bold or in brackets. Then we take the dictionary definition and put it on the back. Save and back to the study material. Let's look at some different examples of this process. Here I'm using a Spanish TV series to study Spanish in English.
¿Quién eres? ¿Policía?
Espera.
Here I'm using a picture book to study English in Japanese. Here I'm using an anime to study Japanese in English.
Non. きな曲だぜ。
The process remains the same for each different language. It's read, check, and add an Anki card. And it's that simple. You just do that. Do it again and again and again and again. And while we're at it, let's look at some of the reasons why this method is so great. It's more fun. TV series and movies, comic books, these things are all created to make people happy and entertained. And the media of a culture contains the coolest, most interesting use of a language too. And that's what we get to study with. I think that's pretty awesome. It's more natural. Does your textbook slow down, simplify, or isolate the language? Of course it does. And there's another way to think about this. You can think, for example, that textbooks are wrong. Unfortunately, if you study only with textbooks, your language will always be unnatural because textbooks are unnatural. It's the same as food. If you're eating all natural, all organic media, then you will become an all natural, all organic speaker. It contains a ton of review. It takes a long time to get used to any one word in a new language. It's not just a case of know or not know. Each word needs time and repetition so that we can get used to it and use it in conversation. Fortunately, with this study method, you're not only learning new words, you're also reviewing a lot of other words at the same time. And the beautiful thing is the most important words, the most common words, are naturally the words that come up the most, which means you're automatically strengthening the most important words in your vocab. It includes culture. No one really talks about this. Just studying words and grammar will not make you a good speaker because a huge amount of fluency comes from learning the culture. Can you tell jokes? Can you laugh at jokes? Can you have conversations about current events or hit TV shows? Is your timing good? Do you know what to say when someone's pet dies? If you don't, the best place to learn this kind of thing is from books and from Netflix. It makes you sound like you. And here's another thing. In your first language, you don't sound like everyone else. You sound like you. And guess what? Inside the media that you enjoy, the vocabulary that expresses you the most is hiding. So go get it. It makes study quantifiable. Okay, well, last one. Well, not really, but this video would go forever. Learning a new language takes ages. And often we can't tell if we're getting better or not because we can't see it. But what we can see is how many Anki cards we made today and how many we have in total. And this is great because we can make goals, and goals mean that we can win, and winning makes studying more fun. In fact, I'll give you a goal. 10,000. Make 10,000 Anki cards. That's about 20 a day for a year and a half. If you get to 10,000 Anki cards, you'll have enough language for 99% of all social interactions. And that's it. If you like this video, please click like or subscribe or share it with your friends. Cheers.